You have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever.
Stay hungry.
Hungry. Foolish. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
This is the eCommerce All-Stars podcast, brought to you with heart by Nadimo.com.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining today's show with your host Brandon Moskwa, of course. And today I'm excited. I have Reid on the line. He's the founder of 26shirts.com, a company that's won a number of different awards. And the reason I have him on today is I want to talk a little bit about what he's doing, and I kind of classify it as exclusive, limited edition with a cause. So thanks for being on the show today, Del.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Well, I think it's really cool what you're doing, and we've talked about in the beginning how you have to treat your business as a business and just really give it everything you got. And knowing that you've won a few awards and you're doing really well with 26 shirts and an interesting approach to it too, and that's what I think it really takes in the e-commerce world. So congratulations to you on all of that.
Thanks.
And I'd love it if you could give people a little bit of background on yourself for those who haven't heard of you or don't follow you on social media that should be. And then we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, again, thanks for having me on. My name is Reid, founder of 26shirts.com, which kind of grew out of the whole Bills Mafia movement. If you're an NFL football fan, you may have heard of that term before in reference to the Buffalo Bills fan base. That's a term that I coined 6 or 7 years ago that kind of just took off, just about the fans in general. And I found myself with this big social media audience all of a sudden, and I felt a responsibility to do something productive with it. And so I tried a couple of different things and eventually landed on this idea of selling limited edition t-shirts that, help families in need. And so I've been doing it now full time for a little over 3 years. We've been doing it overall for about 5 years. And we've managed to raise over $536,000 that we've been able to donate over that course of time.
Awesome. And that's one of the things too that, there's different ways to look at it, but a lot of people talk about marketing from the aspect of marketing and giving back as what attracts the millennials. But I think, to be honest with you, I think if you're just giving back in order to attract a specific market or audience, I think you're doing it wrong. I think the way that you're doing it is virtually what you just said, which is you had this audience and you felt you wanted to do something productive with that. And the fact that you've given back almost $500,000, that is amazing. So congratulations to that as well. Do you mind giving people a little bit more of a background? You mentioned you've been doing this full time for 3 years, which is awesome in the e-commerce space. But obviously 2 years before that, you weren't full time on it. So I'd love to hear your story there about what route you took to get going and what landed you to where you are.
Yeah, sure. So I don't have a degree in business or marketing or anything. I have a degree in computer information systems. So it's kind of weird that I ended up as this entrepreneur selling t-shirts, but it's kind of weird how it worked out, right? But
yeah,
I worked at Roswell Park, which is a comprehensive cancer center here in Buffalo, New York. I worked there for about 14 and a half years, doing web development and programming, and eventually doing, managing the web team that we had there. 2013 was when I had this idea to sell t-shirts. It really was just going to be a 1-year community service project that I wanted to do just to help people out and, kind of leverage the audience that I had developed on Twitter. And it very quickly took off. It took off so quickly, in fact, that I think it was only in our first or second shirt that we were doing that we realized, well, we can do this for a lot longer than a year. So just kind of like that was like a side thing that I was doing, really just to help people. Wasn't I wasn't making any money off of it or anything like that. Just really just existed to help. And then once about 2 years in, 2015, I ended up getting laid off from Roswell. And at that point, I realized I was 39 years old, about to, a few months away from turning 40. And I thought I could, if I'm ever going to try and do this T-shirt thing full time, because I was offered, to apply for another position at Roswell, which I probably would have gotten and everything when I got laid off. But I felt at that time, like, if I'm ever going to do this, like, now's the time to do it. I don't want to be 49 going on 50 in 10 years thinking, man, I really could have made this T-shirt thing work. And so, yeah, so I said thanks, but no thanks, to the offer to apply for a new position there. Drove down Main Street in Buffalo, literally just drove in a straight line down Main Street. And we have a small office here in the Tri-Main building in the city, and a little desk set up, and thought, all right, maybe this can support someone full time. So the way it worked out was, when I launched it in 2013, when I launched this 26 shirts idea, I had partnered up with a local T-shirt company. You could probably call it like a boutique T-shirt company called You and Who, which is Buffalo based, obviously. And they, Dan, who is now my partner in all this, I always joke that he handled all of the boring stuff with the shirt production and handled the donations to the families and everything. And I got to handle the marketing and the designs and recruiting the families. So I got to do the fun stuff. So,
you mean giving the money to the families isn't the fun stuff?
Oh no, it is. But working with the family, I meant like the boring handling of the money.
No, I know.
That is absolutely, yeah, no. So, no, not at all. Yeah, that sounds bad. I got to word that better, right? So, but anyways, but 26 Shirts grew to the point where it quickly took over everything that You and Who was doing. So when I joined as a 50% partner when I got laid off from Roswell, it was already 26 Shirts was all that the company was doing. So it kind of worked out well. I don't know how that works into the story or not, but anyways, wow. So all of a sudden I blinked and now it's 2018. I've been doing this now for full time for 3 years, 2 months. We're now, not only do we have a Buffalo line of shirts, but we have a Chicago line and also a Pittsburgh line. And we also have a separate line called Fantastic, which is more like pop culture stuff and not related to sports teams or anything. Buffalo is still probably about 90% of our sales, mainly because we're here, and so it's much easier to market when you're here in the city that you're selling shirts about. But Chicago and Pittsburgh, we continue to put time and effort into, and we're doing our best to work with artists that are local to those cities and helping causes that are local to those cities. So we'll get there eventually. We'll see where everything grows, but yeah. So I don't know if that helps or not. Like, so I'm definitely not a marketing or business guy, more of a computer guy.
Well, yeah, and that's that's really interesting because I've got a degree in entrepreneurship, but yet I always keep getting pulled into the computer side, the tech side of things. So it's just, I think it's kind of funny because the two of us have gone completely different routes in life, but still somehow end up meeting in the middle.
Yeah, that's funny. Yin and yang, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Quick question then about your expansion into those other cities. You must find that a little bit tricky not being there. Do you have some sort of presence on the ground there at all, or how are you just kind of almost doing this in the same fashion that you did it initially, just trying to get it going there and see how it goes? Or
yeah, we have sort of boots on the ground in Chicago. We have a guy who helps out with certain initiatives and stuff. He's not like on the payroll. He's more like a volunteer,
right,
who helps us out with things, just really believes in what we're doing. Pittsburgh, not so much, there in terms of any real presence in any way, shape, or form, but it's also a shorter drive from Buffalo to Pittsburgh.
Right.
So we'll get, we'll head down, the thruway a few times a year, and we'll do different events and try to spread the word. We've done our best to, in those markets to sponsoring a couple different podcasts about the local sports teams and doing our best to kind of like get into the conversation a little bit, in terms of social media with the teams and the stuff around them. It's still a nut that we're working on cracking, but we're getting farther and farther as each week goes by.
Well, exactly, and it's just like everything else in life. It takes it's just a little bit at a time, right? Little bite-sized pieces, and you eventually get there.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's kind of interesting too. The one thing where I mentioned, do you have boots on the ground? To the audience and to yourself, I always forget, where I'm coming from is I've got an e-commerce business that I run out of essentially the wilds of British Columbia, and we've got, the major city centers throughout Canada, at least in the western Canada, the closest you might get are 3 hours apart for major city centers. And so, when we're talking about, Buffalo and Pittsburgh, I mean, they're so much closer than half the cities are in Canada, the way it works, the layout of the land. So, that question is coming a little bit from a naive perspective, Canadian perspective, we'll call it. So I apologize on that one. But the other side of that is kind of goes back to what I said in the very beginning about the awards you've won and your efforts in social, because to be honest, I mean, with social media the way it is these days, you almost don't have to have boots on the ground, because you can have a real social presence and if you and really have things take off for you as well that way. And it sounds like you've done really well with social. Have you learned any tips or tricks in the world of social media and what you've learned there?
Be authentic, I think, is the most important thing. Part of the, Buffalo is kind of weird, the Buffalo channel, because it's so much intertwined with like my personal Twitter account as well as the official 26 Shirts one for Buffalo. And, I always joke how, we can tweet about something from the Buffalo account and it'll get a little bit of it because we have like the Google real-time analytics. We can see the responses and everything and how quickly people will click on a link to come to the website and everything.
Right.
And so we'll tweet about something from the Shirts account and it'll get like 4 or 5, engagements, but if I tweet about the same thing from my account, it's often like sometimes tenfold. So, and that's not a testament to me as much as it is, I think that people want to identify with a person, not a brand. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I think it's more so that, how important it is to be authentic and real. But people, I think they want a face to a company more often than they just want the company, that sterile corporate thing. So, some days that's great. Some days I really don't want to be the face of a company. I just really kind of want the company to be the company.
Right.
But that is, that's how it's set up, So,
yeah.
But in terms of advice, I think that's just be authentic, be real. Try to be topical, you know what I mean? Don't just, one thing we really try to do is make sure that our social isn't just like buy a shirt.
Right.
We try to be a little bit more organic. And it's easier for us to do that in Buffalo because it's really just like I said, that's we're here. So it's much that social media is much more fleshed out than the other two cities. Yeah. We're really working on fixing that. But we want to be authentic at the same time. So I don't want to be fake with those two cities. The Buffalo stuff comes naturally. So it's something we got to manage, but be authentic. Don't be afraid to spend a few bucks on Facebook ads and stuff like that. They work. I don't know if MailChimp or, email newsletters really count as social media, but that's a huge sales driver for us as well. So we'll do events in Buffalo, in Pittsburgh, in Chicago with the sole goal of just trying to get people to sign up for the mailing list. And not even just, sometimes we'll sell shirts. Sometimes we won't even sell any shirts. We'll just have a few displayed and we'll encourage people to sign up for the mailing list, like through a giveaway or something, because I could sell them one shirt right now for $10 or $20 or whatever. Or, I can get them to sign up for the mailing list where they become they'll gain a better understanding of who we are, what we do, and then maybe they'll buy 10 future shirts instead of just that one.
Right on. Yeah, no, that's actually important for people to be aware of, is the power of email still. And I've been known, I've talked about it on different podcasts in the past, and I've been one of those people that's been a slow believer. I used to be a naysayer with email. I'm like, why you bother getting emails? Why, and then when you should, get them while you're on your site, convert them. But the truth is you're not always going to convert them while they're on your site. Plus, getting an email address in the fashion you just talked about will be able to potentially drive them to your site, whereas they may not even have been there yet. And especially when you're working in the social media space, I mean, you're working real hard to get them to your site, but sometimes if all you can get is an email address, then you at least have a means of contacting them again. If they never open that email, oh well, so what? But if they do, then they start reading it, then you're that much closer to a sale.
Yeah, for sure. And MailChimp even allows certain things, like if they didn't open the email, you can send another one to prompt them to basically try and read it again. You can email those non-openers and stuff like that. And
Right.
I once spoke with one person who said his goal was to get people to unsubscribe from his email.
Yep, I've heard that too. Essentially, the more people that unsubscribe means that those are people you don't want on your list anyway. And you just want to hammer them endlessly until they quit subscribing.
Yeah, so
I don't
wanna be
necessarily
spammy.
agree with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, go on. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but it's just that point. Like, I don't want to be spammy, but at the same time, like, I prefer that the people on the mailing list be people that are actually engaged with the brand and didn't just sign up because they're hoping to win a free T-shirt at an event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So hopefully you can get like that Venn diagram where they sign up, they wanted the shirt, but they also want to know about future shirts. So
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Your list has to be essentially purged in some way, right? Get those people off there who really don't want to be on there, but keep those on there who do. And yeah, if you get spammy about it, you're going to start losing the potential ones as well. So there's a delicate balance with email marketing for sure.
Yeah, we try to be real respectful in that whole dynamic, because we exist to help people. That's why we're here. So we don't want to go so aggressive on the marketing end of things that we turn off someone who may be moved by a story that they're going to hear in the future about somebody we're helping. So it is a delicate balance.
Right on. Well, very cool. I'm so glad you were on the show today, man. We got some excellent little tidbits, and I love the story of your company and what you're doing there. I really hope that Chicago and Pittsburgh take off for you, and then new cities in the future, because what you guys are doing is a really great thing, and I love the whole business model, and really sounds like you're hammering the social media really well. So congrats to you guys once again. I think I've said that 3 times now. So I sound like I'm making consistently giving you praise, but honestly, I think you're doing a good job. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
So in closing, then, I always like to ask people if they've got any final words of wisdom that they want to share with everybody. And then I guess lastly, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, I guess not to hammer on that one point, but I guess a final word of wisdom would definitely be authentic. Be real. People are gonna they're gonna know a shyster when they see it or when they hear it, and deliver a high quality product, whatever it is you're selling. Our shirts are a little bit more expensive than the others by a couple bucks typically. Because we use the highest quality shirt material. We use screen printing, which is a little bit more expensive than other methods. But we believe that if somebody buys a shirt to help somebody because they know the person being helped, we want them, when they finally get their shirt, to be like, "Holy cow, this is an amazing shirt!" And then in the future, they're gonna purchase a shirt to help somebody that they don't even know. So I think just be authentic, be real, offer a good product. Don't sell people crap. You ruin it for the rest of us when you do that, because it's there's so many people on the internet who are just trying to sell garbage. It looks great on
Yeah.
the website, and then it arrives, and it's like it's like McDonald's burgers or whatever. I mean, it looks great on the commercial. Then you get it like, that's the one on the commercial, really?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I guess those are my two main things. But in terms of how you can get a hold of me, if you really want to hear from me and hear about how much the Bills are frustrating me this week,
Yeah.
at Del Reid, DELREID. But if you're more interested in the brands, we're at 26shirts.com, and then our Twitter handle is at 26shirts. And there's also one for Chicago and Pittsburgh, 26shirts CHI and 26shirts PIT. And we're on Facebook and Instagram with those same handles and everything. So check us out. Maybe you'll see something you like, or maybe you'll see something that'll inspire you to maybe tweak what you're working on in terms of your e-commerce stuff, or maybe you're looking to start something, and I'd encourage you to have a give back component, because the potential there is great in terms of being able to do some serious good for less fortunate.
Exactly. No, I hear you. That's exactly what I wanted to have you on the show. So I appreciate that. And I'm just going to second the be authentic piece. I think that's amazing what you're saying there. I really try and live by that as well with our business. And I think it's absolutely critical. And so thank you again for being on the show. Thanks for being authentic, and thanks for giving back. I think that's been awesome. So thanks for your time, Del.
Oh man, thanks for having me on. Thanks for all the kind words. I appreciate it.
You have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever.
Stay hungry.
Hungry. Foolish. Stay hungry. Stay foolish.
This is the eCommerce All-Stars podcast, brought to you with heart by Nadimo.com.